The FDA says vaccine makers will not have to go through another long round of clinical trials to update their shots against variants. ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth to explain how that will work.
With the South Africa variant showing signs of partial resistance to our vaccines, the FDA says there's an urgent need to respond with updated shots. And on Monday, it laid out a regulatory shortcut. But to understand how the FDA wants to speed things up, you have to go back to the original clinical trials. Pfizer and Moderna recruited tens of thousands of volunteers for 3 phases of testing. In the final phase 3 stage, half got the vaccine and half got a saltwater placebo. Then the companies waited for volunteers to encounter the virus in their daily lives. That part alone took about 4.5 months, roughly half of the clinical trials.
In the accelerated version, you basically don't wait for people to get disease. You just look at antibody response.
UC San Francisco's Dr. Peter Chinhong says for the modified vaccines, drug makers will simply administer shots and then take blood samples. They'll measure for a specific kind of antibody, one that can neutralize the mutated virus.
By not waiting for people to get the disease or go to the hospital, you can actually just study hundreds of people instead of tens of thousands of people.
If the updated vaccine produces similar neutralizing antibodies to the old vaccine, it'll be considered a success. The FDA says the process should take a few months. Dr. Christian Ramers is with Family Health Centers of San Diego.
Now, this depends on a couple of assumptions, and the assumptions are that the manufacturing is going to be identical to the original vaccine. And so that's where the FDA says, look, you're not changing that much except for just a tiny little piece of the message that goes inside that mRNA vaccine. So you don't need to start from scratch.
He says the procedure is similar to the way the flu vaccine is updated each year for new strains. But unlike with flu, scientists aren't as sure of the exact number of antibodies we need for protection.
There's really not much that's changing other than just a very tiny little tweak. So I don't anticipate that there's going to be any new safety signals. So yes, I am comfortable with the approach the FDA has taken. And to be honest, it has to be this approach because the variants are going to move too fast.
And the variants aren't just affecting vaccines. The FDA also released new rules for updating drugs like monoclonal antibodies and diagnostic tests. The agency says further mutations could make those tests less reliable, something that happened with HIV. Still, we're not there yet. The FDA says our current vaccines remain effective, but they want to be ready just in case. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.